Welcome to the top 10 most pulled comic books for February 5th, 2025. I'm Mike Spider Slayer. Welcome back to Comic Book Corner 2.0. If you love daily comic book content, you like me helping you make decisions on what comic books to buy, you've been watching for a while, guys, what are you waiting for? Why don't you consider hitting that subscribe button? This is the video series where each and every week I use the website called leagueofcomicgeeks.com to find out what comic books people are putting on their pull list. Now, this is not definitive sales numbers. This is just based off of this website, what people are most excited about when it comes to certain comic books. So this is a lot of fun. I love doing it each and every week, and it's great to see what comic books are coming out this week. So with that being said, let's get started with this week's episode. Each week, we always start with 5 comic books that are on the outside looking in. That's right, guys. They're just right outside trying to grab that top 10 spot. And our first book that's on the outside looking in this week is Two-Face. This is issue 3. It's a 32-page comic for the price of $4. This book has 2,758 pulls. It will be interesting to see what kind of week we shall have this week, because last week there was a lack of DC Comics, and it was a weak pull number, let me tell you. This book is written by Christian Ward, and the art is done by Fabio Varese. When I read the first issue of this, it was pretty decent. Wasn't my favorite thing in the world. I do like Two-Face as a villain. Does he deserve his own individual solo series? I don't know, maybe not, but it is a fine mini-series. It's just there's so many other comic books that are out there right now, it's just not on my radar. But the first issue was okay. If you guys read the second one, let me know what you thought. Our second book that's on the outside looking in goes to Scarlet Witch. This is issue 9. This is 32 pages for the price of $4. This book does have 2,830 pulls, not the biggest number in the world. And this one is written by Steve Orlando, and the art is done by Jacopo Camangi. Hopefully I said that right. Anyway, Black Cat is in Scarlet Witch. She's currently in the Avengers. Now she's in the Scarlet Witch series. And it looks like Black Cat is going to be going after some magical items in Scarlet Witch's basement. What kind of consequences does she suffer in this issue for messing with Scarlet Witch? You'll have to read it and find out. I don't know. I don't read Scarlet Witch, but I might check it out just because Black Cat's in it. The third book that's on the outside looking in goes to Gunslinger Spawn. This is issue 40, which is unfortunate because I love this book. 24 pages for the price of $3. This book has 3,142 pulls. It is written by Todd McFarlane. The art is done by Carlo Barberi. Gorgeous artwork in this comic book, and Gunslinger is just a great character in my eyes. Gunslinger in the most recent issue was fighting against a bear, protecting one of his dogs, and the biggest thing about this comic is Javier getting revenge for the loss of his sister, his family. He's not even the same person as he once was, because if you're starting to read tales of Deadly Gunslinger or whatever it is, it's a really good book, and it shows you the origin of that character. But this story is a lot of fun, well worth that $3 price tag. Our fourth book that's on the outside looking in, and this might be fun for a lot of you guys, Shazam! This is issue 20. 32 pages for the price of $4. This book does have 3,294 pulls. This is a guest writer on this book, Sina Grace, and the art is done by Dan McDade. Now, this is a one-shot story, as we have Shazam, who is teaming up with John Kent, and something happens with the Rock of Eternity where it turns John Kent into a little boy once again. So could you say Super Sons? Right? So these two do go on an adventure with each other, which again could be a lot of fun. Remember, it's a one and done story. Obviously, I don't think this is anything that's going to be permanent. But yeah, if you like Superboy as Superboy once again, this might be something for you. And the fifth and final book that's on the outside looking in goes to Phoenix. This is issue 8, just missing that top 10. This is a 32-page comic for the price of $4. We've seen Jean Grey out in the cosmos once again. This book has 3,682 pulls. This book is written by Stephanie Phillips. The artwork is done by Alessandro Marocco. And when it comes to this book, it looks like most recently Jean was going against the Black Order and Thanos, and I think that portion of the story is actually done, and now she could be, I don't know, working with these characters by the name of Percarus and Adani. I don't read the story, so I'm not really too sure what it is about. However, if you're a Jean Grey fan, this book could be for you. Officially kicking off the top 10, number 10 goes to JSA. This is issue 4, Into the Clutches of the Injustice Society. Unfortunately, guys, I did fall off of this book during the holidays. It was just one of those books that I put to the side and I never got back to reading, but my one issue with the comic was same thing. There was just a lot of different characters and a lot of different moving pieces. I am not saying that this book is not good in any stretch of the imagination. I just fell off of it. I think Jeff Lemire is a great writer and the art is done by Joey Vasquez. The pull number on this, I think, is a little low. It's 3,797 pulls for a number 10 issue. But I do want to know in the comments below if you guys are sticking with JSA. Now that we're about 3 issues into this thing, I want to know your thoughts. Grabbing that number 9 spot this week goes to the Spectacular Spider-Man issue 12. Unfortunately, I haven't read this book in a while. I just felt like it got a little bit uninteresting for me. And the sad thing is Roberto Ramos is no longer the artist on this comic, and I do like his artwork. It's a 32-page comic for the price of $4. This book does have 3,820 pulls attached to it. It's written by Greg Weisman. The art now is done by Emilio Liazzo. The cool thing, though, about this particular issue is that we have Miles and Peter, which are 2 Spider-Man, doing battle against 2 Electros. One is against Max and the other one is against Francine. And yeah, that could be for a fun little issue right there. Will I pick it up? I'm not too sure. I mean, when I like to read comics, I usually like to collect a run. I usually don't just get like one single issues or a story arc. That's not usually my taste. But if I were to read it, I think it could have potential. But I want to know if you guys are still reading this book. Is it the book that you expected? Hit number 8 is another book I don't really read. It's funny, there's a lot of these books that I don't read or they're not like my favorite books. That's very rare that happens. This is Birds of Prey. This is issue 18. Yes, it hits the number 8 spot this week. 32 pages for the price of $4. This one has 4,653. We finally got a little bit of a jump up there. Written by Kelly Thompson, who I really love on Absolute Wonder Woman. The art is done by Juanan Cabal. When it comes to this comic, I have no idea what it's about. I thought I was going to jump all in when the whole All In initiative came out, but I never did, and I couldn't tell you what this series is about. But if you guys are digging it, let me know. I have had some people tell me, though, that it's been a little bit of a slow burn, a little bit boring, so I don't know. I think there's 2 distinct sides when it comes to this comic book, but I'm always interested to hear your guys' thoughts. Here's a book I'm finally reading. Coming in at number 7 is Batgirl issue 4, but I'm very much on the fence about this book. I do not think personally this is the best book. I feel like it's very repetitive when it comes to Cassandra Cain coming to the grips if her mom is right or wrong. Should she fight alongside her? Should she not? It's very repetitive in that nature. This book is 32 pages for the price of $4. This book does have 5,030 pulls, which is cool. Written by Tate Brumble, and the art is done by Takashi Mizawa. The art's okay. I think it's good. I think when there's some fighting scenes, I think it looks pretty cool. Like I said, the story for me has been very repetitive, and we get Cassandra Cain kind of caught in the middle. Like, what should she do, right? They're going against this clan called the Unburied Clan, I think it's called. So we'll get to see how this story continues to grow and develop for me. If I don't see a lot of story progression, if I still see her wander back and forth to the point where it's just very repetitive and old, I might actually drop it. Do you guys agree or do you disagree? I hate being so negative, but this is just my honest opinion this week when it comes to a lot of these books. They're just like, okay, or I'm just not interested in them at this moment. Another DC book comes in at number 6. We have Poison Ivy. This is issue 30. This book is 32 pages for the price of $4. This book does have 5,611 pulls. This is a book I currently read. It's written by G. Willow Wilson. The art is done by Marco Takara. The artwork is gorgeous in this book. I mean, it really makes the book that much better. We wind up seeing Poison Ivy in the last issue fight the Order of the Green Knight's master, and now she finds herself wandering in this limbo, this gray area, you should say. So it's a very interesting book. I can't find myself so much, I would say, invested into the story per se, because I did not read it from the very start, even though there is an all-in point. There's just certain elements that I feel disconnected to the character. There are a supporting cast in this comic book as well, but we haven't touched so much on them, and I want to learn about more of them as well. So I'm curious to see the direction of this book. Are you guys digging Poison Ivy? Grabbing that number 5 spot goes to the Avengers issue 23, legacy numbering 789, 32 pages, $4. Let's see what the pull number is for a top 5 book. Not very good, guys. 5,960 pulls, written by Jed McKay. The art is done by Farid Karamai. When it comes to this comic book, I've given it 23 issues to get better. Jed McKay usually is a slow starter and then gets better as time goes along. However, I think with just certain elements when it came to Kang and the Blood Hunt event and other things, I feel like this book can't get its momentum, and I'm not sure if he has a true direction for the Avengers title, right? So if Black Cat can't make this comic book any better, or I don't know, I think she might only be on for this story arc, this could be it. This could be the final issue for me when it comes to Avengers, and that's sad to say because this is a flagship book. I need to know in the comments below, what are you guys feeling with Avengers right now? All right, number 4, can you increase those pull numbers? Is there something that's really going to excite me? Well, we're talking about Wolverine. This is issue 6, legacy numbering 398, 32 pages, $5. It is an interesting story so far, but not the best. And this one has, my gosh, only 6,079 pulls. It just seems like the beginning of the year is just very slow when it comes to very exciting comic books. I feel like so far, like Ultimate Wolverine has been that comic that people were really excited about, but right now it's just really slow. When it comes to this comic book, it seems like it's going to be a lot of fun with a lot of action with some great characters. You're going to have Nightcrawler, Wolverine, and you're going to have Laura Kinney in there as well, fighting against Constrictor, Cyber, and Lady Deathstrike. Now, those 3 enemies have that golden adamantium that's possessing them. So we're going to see what is going to be the outcome of this story, or does it continue? Like, what is Saladin Ahmed's plan here when it comes to Wolverine? Is this going to be his run, this golden shit? I don't know. We shall see. Okay, so at number 3, the numbers definitely have to improve here. Number 3 goes to the Ultimates. This is issue 9. It's been a fairly successful comic for Marvel. This one is 32 pages for the price of $5. finally, this takes a huge jump, guys. This has 11,888 pulls. So it shows me people are finally excited about a book this week. The writer here is Denise Camp, and the art here is done by Chris Allen. So in this comic book, we're going to be introduced to this world's Luke Cage. And based off of the description, it sounds like we're going to get the history and the future of the character. So I think this could be a lot of fun learning about Luke Cage. And finally, man, there's a book where I'm like, yes, I can't wait to read it, because for me, in my opinion, I think The Ultimates is a fine comic book, and I look forward to each and every issue that comes out. So number 2 has got to be freaking great, right? If the last one had 11,000 pulls, well, number 2 goes to Absolute Superman. This is issue 4. It's got 32 pages for the price of $5. This book has 13,858. Very, very impressive. This is showing me, obviously, what people are really most excited about now. Jason Aaron is the writer. The art is done by Rafa Sandoval. The last issue of Absolute Superman, which is badass, as we just got to see them on Krypton. We wound up getting to see Superman's mom wind up kicking ass and taking names with her gigantic gun and her freaking armor, trying to rescue her son and her husband. It was just so much fun. And now this one looks like it takes place back on, maybe on Earth or whatnot, but we get introduced to the Omega Men in this issue. So this could be a really big issue, maybe key issue for collectors out there. I'm definitely looking forward to this. This is a fun comic to read. Remember, guys, after number 1, we are not done. We have Spider Slayer's Sleeper Pick. This is going to be a comic book that I'm going to showcase to you that might pique your interest there. So here we go. Number 1 most pulled comic for February 5th is a big one. This goes to Batman issue 157. Always a Bat book is always number 1 most of the time when it's there. Legacy numbering 922. It is 48 pages. It's $5. This book has the highest number I've ever seen on this show so far. 19,516 pulls. Almost breaks the 20K mark. And the fucking garbage truck is there right now as we talk about it. But let's keep going. Writer here is Chip Zdarsky. The artist is Tony S. Daniel and Jorge Jimenez. So you got 2 big artists on this book to conclude Chip Zdarsky's run when it comes to Batman. So this is it. Everything that's been going on with freaking Commissioner Gordon, the death of the mayor, freaking Riddler, all that's going to come to a conclusion in this issue here. And then from this point on, we're going to go into the sequel of Hush. And now it's time for Spider Slayer's Sleeper Pick, and coming in at number 50 goes the Savage Tales Winter 2025 Special Issue 1. This is a $6 comic book. Not sure on the page count of this one, but it's done from Dynamite. Now, this is something that I normally wouldn't recommend, but if you're a Dynamite comic fan and you're a fan of certain characters like Deja Thoris and John Carter, Red Sonja, and Vampirella, this could be a story for you, as it has like 4 different stories in here. One called Mutiny of Mars, His War, The Real Things, Seeing Red. Again, this might be something for you. I think this is a normal sized comic book, and it has some wonderful variant covers of your Dynamite properties here. So when it comes to the pull count on this one, it only has 201 pulls. So again, this is pretty low on the list, but this is something that you may not know that's coming out that could pique your interest. So there you have it, webheads. There are the most pulled comics for February 5th, 2025. If there's something that's not on this list that you're excited about, please let me know in the comments below. Hopefully you're enjoying this series. As always, I'm going to leave you more content right here for you to click on. This is the Indie Gems, and this is the Marvel vs. DC show. Hopefully you guys check those out. And as always, guys, remember, support your local comic shops. Keep buying, keep collecting, but always read your comics so we can have great comic conversation. Guys, I will see you on New Comic Book Day. Take care, everyone.